you go. Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Granbury will, on the regular meeting, will come to order at 6 p.m. on Monday, December the 9th, 2024, in Granbury City Hall Community Development Meeting Room. The first order of business tonight is call order, but I'd like to thank, we have outgoing P&Z member, Mr. Earl Erdman. I'd like to thank him for his community service and his time on P&Z, and welcome our incoming and returning member, Mr. Lee Daniels, which is here. Glad to have you back, Lee.
Thank you.
The first item on the agenda, public comments on agenda items that are non-public hearing agenda items. Do we have anybody in the public that would like to speak on a non-public hearing agenda item? Are you here for D1? For the one on the request to rezone for multifamily residential?
That's the law.
Okay.
That's not what I'm here for. That's not the reason I'm here. But I needed to address a couple of problems that I can foresee on the lot, and I don't know whether.
Okay. Well, I have your card, and when we get to that agenda item, that's
Okay.
a public hearing, I'll call you up there. I'll call you. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. The first thing that going on down the agenda is the consent agenda. It would be the regular meeting minutes from November the 18th, 2024. Do I have a motion to amend or change or revise those minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
Chair, I move to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Mr. Hayes to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Class. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is D1, a public hearing. Consider request of Raquel Kimnitz to rezone from multifamily residential district to light commercial. The property is located at 918 East Pearl. Cody?
Good evening, Ms. Chair and Commission. This is located at 918 East Pearl. It is 0.748 acres, and there is currently a plat submission being reviewed for this. The purpose for tonight is a rezone from multifamily to light commercial for a dentist office. The current zoning is multifamily residential, and the proposed is light commercial. And the future land use does align with this. And per the zoning ordinance, in making a determination, the Planning and Zoning Commission shall consider the following factors. Whether use permitted by the proposed change will be appropriate in the immediate area concerned with the relationship to the uses of the general area and the city as a whole. And staff feels that the uses of the light commercial district are normally associated along streets and backing up to residential properties. And two, whether the proposed change is in accord with any existing or proposed plans for public schools, streets, water supply, sanitary sewers, and other utilities to the area, and shall note the findings. Infrastructure is currently in place, and a moratorium waiver development agreement is in place. To change the residential to commercial will not result in any additional school demand. Number three, the amount of vacant land currently classified for similar development in the vicinity and elsewhere in the city, and special circumstances which may make a substantial part of such vacant land unavailable for development. This change will represent a small increase in the overall supply of commercial land in the city. Number four, the recent rate at which land is being developed in the same zoning classification as the request, particularly in the vicinity of the proposed area. The properties in the area along East Pearl are already zoned light commercial, PD, and IH interim holding. Number five, however, the areas designated for similar development will be or are unlikely to be affected if the proposed amendment is approved, and whether such designation for other areas should be modified also. And this proposal would increase the number of properties zoned light commercial in the city. Number 6 and 7, any other factors which substantially affect the health, safety, morals, or general welfare, and if the Planning and Zoning Commission denies the zoning request, it may offer reasons to the applicant for the denial. On November 27th, 2024, city staff mailed out 10 public notices to all property owners within 200 feet on the municipal tax roll within 200 feet. And notice on November 23rd was also published in the Hood County newspaper. 0 letters in favor or against at this time. And staff recommends approval of the zoning change request. And the voting options for tonight: recommend approval of the zoning change or recommend denial of the zoning change.
Thank you, Cody. I'll open the public hearing and the applicant here, and if so, would you like to speak? I guess that's you.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. My name is Ken Dees. I'm with Chalk Mountain Engineering, and I'm here to represent Dr. Smith, West Bluff Dental Center. This is their new facility, which will replace their existing facility, and they're really excited about this development. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. I'll start, but we'll see if we have questions in a minute, but we have our first speaker would be Lola Wesson.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have any problem with the rezoning of it because I'm the apartment complex. My husband and I own the apartment complex behind that since '97. And the only problems I have was that I don't remember what the person's name was with his company called and was telling us that we were going to have to allow a gate between our property and that property so they could get fire trucks out. I don't know why they can't rearrange their buildings to make access for fire trucks to get in and out. If any of y'all want to look at the 911 addressing picture, it shows sharp curves from here where they're wanting to come out, up here and curve to get back over on 37, on the bypass. But this, we don't want the liability of having to make sure our tenants are not parked. It's an old driveway that the highway took the end of it off when they did the bypass, but it's wide enough we can go in there and create park. We use it for parking now, but we want to maintain and keep it that way so that we can add more parking places in there if we need to, because this piece of property is, how wide would you say it is, Roy?
About 45 foot wide.
About 45 foot wide, and how long?
I'm guessing about 70 feet.
So we could create quite a few parking places because we have a 24-unit apartment complex. People are allowed to have up to 2 cars, which would be 48 cars. We don't have that now, even with that old driveway, using that old driveway for people to come in with, and with the company that they have, it would create a problem for us to have to be responsible for making sure they weren't in that old driveway and weren't keeping the fire department from using it.
Cody, would you like to address? All right.
I believe that they were, with TxDOT, they were asked to see if they could get access from either the property to the north or a different drive instead of getting their driveway. But that, Mr. Dees, you want to speak to that? You know more about that.
There's 2 issues really. TxDOT is actually a separate issue. We work with the fire marshal for the city of Granbury, and that's how this resulted. There would be a gate there that would only be used in an emergency. It has
So
what we
we've
call
got to
a
make
Knox
sure-
locks.
We'd have to
And-
make sure that our tenants weren't parking.
Right. This was actually a suggestion by the fire marshal of the city of Granbury. So that's kind of
I don't
where
want to
that
be
came
responsible for being
So-
sure that they can get through to it. I don't want the liability.
Where exactly are we talking about here? I mean, I'm on the fire department, so I'm not interested.
Okay, it's actually right across the street from Mesquite Pit.
Mhm. That little finger?
No, that's their property. It's about 30 feet wide, I think, connects to 377 Business, but it's the property to the east. It has a for sale sign on it now.
That's what it says here. Yeah.
The green property.
It's between the loop and
Alright.
the boat ramps, okay? City of Granbury boat ramps. It's the property right
Yeah,
there.
boat ramps here.
Yeah.
There's the loop right
It's
here.
just to the west of the boat ramps.
Yeah, it's that little finger that comes down.
No, it's not the finger. That's what they own. And that between the finger and the boat ramps
Can you put it
is.
on, can you put it on the screen before you start?
It's literally right
The
here.
green.
And right here is where we're proposing to put the Knox lock,
Uh-huh,
right here.
okay.
Yeah.
Then you're proposing then to build a driveway into that?
It's gonna be basically an S-shaped drive that will connect. And so the southern point is on Pearl Street, and then there's kind of an S-curve. Can you bring up the site plan? Do you have a?
I don't have the site plan on this because it wasn't for
Okay.
Yeah.
the zoning.
Zoning.
We're
So-
just doing a simple zoning right now.
But we'll
Yeah.
see that when
Okay.
they come back for plating,
Right.
Will that be administrative plating?
administrative
Yeah.
plat, so it won't come to us,
Okay.
okay?
All right, well,
So I'm not following, why would Tim, maybe you can help me, what really is the issue here? Why would
My
Yeah.
issue is.
No, I understand your issue. I'm wondering, fire department wise, what is the issue? Why would,
I don't.
They have to
I
have
don't
a
know if
gate in
he's just
between your
looking for
property and his
two
property.
ingresses or
Right, typically
something.
between properties, you'll put a gate, and it's kind of a bump thing, it's like what they call a Knox locks, it's only used by
It's a
the fire
lock box,
department.
yeah.
Yeah, it's locked otherwise.
It's a key that we carry that can,
Yeah.
only the fire department has
Right.
access to.
And we don't have a key.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we carry the key. And they-
Fine.
we-
We as in who?
The fire department
Fire
has
department.
the only key to the
Right.
lock boxes.
Yeah.
So there'll be one key in the fire department?
Negative. No, we have multiple keys. They are in a secured vault inside the fire engines. And you have to punch a code in to access that key. And then that keeps track. You have a specific ID number, like I have an ID number. The computer inside of that vault keeps track that I'm the one who opened it and got that key out. And then it also keeps track when I put the key back in the vault and lock it. So it's an accountability system for that key, for that
that's,
key.
the gate and the key's not the issue, it's whether tenants park in that driveway or not. If we had 48 cars, I can guarantee you they're gonna be up in that driveway parked.
But are they not parking, they're not parking along that curb right now though?
Yes, they are, but we still don't have but about 40 parking places, and if I have 24 units times 2 cars, that's 48 cars. And that's not counting their visitors.
Yeah, I have no idea, I mean, I have no idea why the fire department requested that, I'm not in the
Apparently
inspection
there was an
division.
incident at the apartment complex, and Kevin Jones said this would really help out access to both properties in an emergency. Because apparently they have a hard time turning the fire engine around in the
They've
parking
got a
lot.
vacant lot out there, all they gotta do is go out there and take down
On a rainy
a raven
day.
wire string between posts to keep the public out. And they can drive all over that vacant lot.
Yeah. I do see somewhat of a benefit for your apartment because it allows a double access into your
Right.
apartment complex.
I don't need it.
Well, I know you don't need it, but if the entrance ever was blocked in some form or fashion, there's no,
You got a boat ramp cut across the line.
well, you don't drive fire engines across your ass. They weigh like 50,000 pounds, and you don't normally take them off-roading,
Didn't matter, but done that.
you know. So, I mean, I see somewhat of a benefit there, that there is some access in case that single entry into the apartment complex was blocked for any unknown reason.
If it were permitted today, you would have to have 2 points of access for a fire. And
That is
this-
correct.
And this gives you 2 access points.
That is correct.
Yes.
That is correct. You are kind of grandfathered in
Right.
that this would probably never be allowed in
Right.
today's current codes.
We own that vacant land if we were forced to
Yeah.
have an access
So,
with it.
all right. That's all I got.
Thanks. Anything else on your list for the Wesleys?
No, that, I'm sure they know, or they should know, that lot up there that they're buying has been surveyed several times, and we've talked to the surveyors, and they do have a drainage problem on it.
Yeah, well,
There's no
also
drainage problems.
That'll be in,
Plating?
there'll be some drainage review with civil review.
This drains to Pearl Street, and we'll collect drainage from your property, and then it goes down to the ditch to the lake. So it's very simple.
Commission members, any other questions for staff or questions for the applicant? Okay, if not, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a vote on the rezoning request.
I'll make a motion for approval of the rezoning.
A motion by Mr. Hallman to approve the rezoning as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who came down there? Who was that? Oh, Mr. Daniels. Second by Mr. Daniels. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a discussion item that about E1, electric vehicle charging stations. Cody or Kira? Okay, Kira, okay?
Just a minute. All right, so the zoning ordinance, and possibly the city code, which the zoning ordinance lives in, we're proposing an update that would address the electric vehicle charging stations. If you're not familiar with what those are, they're about a 4, maybe 5 foot high, little kind of structure that dispenses electric energy into an electric vehicle. I think we're familiar with this. There's been a trend towards more and more electric vehicles, and therefore a demand of more charging stations that are available throughout the public areas or even on private property. Some companies are coming into cities and proposing what we think of as gas stations these days, where in our code is a fuel station, fuel dispensing facility. And this would be, could be considered the equivalent of a fuel dispensing facility for alternative fuels. Or it could be classed in the zoning ordinance as a separate type of use for electric vehicle charging facility. Or it could be placed into the city code in perhaps the building chapter as a non-planned use facility. We see them around town by just off the head count. We think that there are 5 properties that have 1 or 2 electric charging stations available for use. Some of those are for public use, some of them are private use. But what we don't have in town is a piece of land dedicated just for electrical vehicles charging with multiple stations. So each one of those little charging devices that are about 4 or 5 feet tall is considered one station. That's the term they use for those. When we think of fuel stations, we think of for gasoline, diesel fuel these days, but the trend is towards having also electric vehicle fuel charging stations. The word that might get us tripped up is the word station, right? But we can look around that and look through this. So that's what we're doing some research on. If you want to go and take a look at what other cities have done, we're going to go through a research phase on this project. Right now, we've identified Grapevine has something on the books, and Burleson also has something. If you wanted to look at those on your own, that's fine, but I wanted to just introduce the idea that we're looking at proposing and see if you guys have any questions that maybe we can research further, or if you wanted to discuss them, that's what we're asking for. Any more information, let me know.
Is this an ordinance on just governing like location and types, or is the city looking at installing these?
Not familiar with anything that the city is proposing right now to install.
Okay.
Mostly looking at if someone came into town and proposed a piece of land for a vehicle charging, like a vehicle fueling station.
I got you. Okay.
That we would have a provision in our ordinances or our code.
Right. Most of what we see right now is that it's concern of fire safety. Let's look for safety provisions first, and then what's the impact if it's a land use regulation, what's the impact on adjacent properties, and is there a location criteria that makes more sense than others. Right now, for just our standard gas or diesel stations, we have these as by right in heavy commercial and industrial, and with a specific use permit through public hearing for business, commercial, the office district, and light commercial as well as central business district.
Okay. Any comments or questions on that agenda item? If not, we have no further agenda items tonight, so the meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you all for coming.